You bought the car, now add the lifestyle option. The BMW Car Club of America, the largest single-mark car club in the world, is where you can experience every amazing aspect of the BMW lifestyle. And if you're an active BMW owner, the club membership more than pays for itself within the span of a year with discounts like 15% off the BMW Performance Center programs and parts and service discounts from participating dealers. As a member, you'll also receive the award-winning Roundel magazine and the new Bimmer Life magazine. Join now at BMWCCA.org.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series. Tonight, we visit the virtual Watkins Glen for the final stop of 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's broadcast, where you are watching along on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter. I'm Taylor Burris, and joining me in the booth is my colleague, Strict Pulsatrix. Our producer, Ryan Bauer, is down in the virtual production trailer, powered by Top Flight Computers. Now, Strix, we are here for the final race of 2020 for the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series, and Watkins Glen is going to provide a wide variety of challenges.
Absolutely, 100%. This is going to be a fantastic race to watch, especially at Watkins Glen. A lot of what makes Watkins Glen what it is just these very long straights. There is a lot of opportunities to pass as well through the braking zones. So it'll be really interesting to see with the difference between Road America and Road Atlanta, how these drivers navigate through this track and use a slipstream to their advantage to try and make the passes work here on Watkins Glen.
It certainly is, and it's going to be exciting to see some of these drivers take to it. I mean, we've had a lot of great racing the past few weeks. Of course, who could forget last week's round at Road Atlanta, where we saw a bunch of big-name drivers such as Matt Kalish, Peter Eastman, as well as Christopher Hill being one of the most dominant drivers this season so far. But we have a very special guest joining us here tonight. Of course, he is the organizer of the BMW Car Club Racing. Scott Hughes joins us. Scott, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great, thanks.
Very good to hear. Well, one of the things we wanted to talk to you about is, what can you tell us about your role in starting the BMW Car Club of America Club Racing program?
Well, gladly. My wife and I started the BMW Club Driving School program in 1974 at Lime Rock, and had a great time with that. Porsche started doing a club racing program, I believe, in about 93. We caught the BMW CCA National Board napping one day and got an agreement to do a BMW Club Racing Series. Started in 1995 at Moroso, what was then Moroso in Florida, and did 5 races that year, and it's been onward ever since.
It certainly has. Now, back since 1995, how has the BMW Car Club of America club racing progressed over the years?
Well, it's been terrific. We started out with, I think, 11 people in that first race. My wife, Fran Hughes, was the registrar for the first, 15 years or more. And I think we've licensed over 1,500 guys and gals since 1995. Still going strong.
Wow, it's quite impressive to see what you guys have been able to accomplish over these 25 years. And now, as we celebrate this 25th anniversary of the BMW Car Club of America club racing, what is your perspective of this different style of racing when it comes to sim racing?
Well, I realized in 1995, this venue, this possibility, this technology didn't even exist. So it's really, really fun to see it come into its own and be a part of the program.
And with this new possibility and new opportunities, does it align with your original vision for the club racing program?
Yeah, we've had everything from just guys doing a one-off Walter Mitty drive to guys who went on to become professionals like Will Turner and James Clay and others. This is a wonderful addition to that program. And I can see a lot of guys coming into this. Some names I recognize, some fictitious names I don't recognize, but some great looking cars and some great racing.
Certainly is, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds for the BMW Car Club of America club racing and the sim racing series. Of course, for any of you who are watching tonight's broadcast, you can find more information on the BMW Car Club of America club racing. Please visit us at BMWCCA clubracing.com. Well, Mr. Hughes, we want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's show here at the virtual Watkins Glen tonight. Any final thoughts about tonight's race?
Well, I've got lots of time at Watkins Glen in numerous cars, mostly BMWs. It's a great place to be. I'm really looking forward to the competition, and go wave that green flag.
Of course, we will wave that green flag here momentarily, as currently our drivers are out on track to complete their qualifying. Thank you very much, Mr. Hughes. Now we'll turn over. Of course. And now we're going to turn over to Strix, and we're currently keeping an eye on the qualifying time charts. Nobody has yet taken a time, but they are on their first lap. Strix, who are we going to be keeping an eye on here tonight?
Well, obviously, from the past few races, both at Road Atlanta and Road America, Christopher Hill has basically been at the top, if not just behind the leader, when it comes to finishing the races. And in his qualifying times, that is no exception here, as we see Christopher Hill now making a qualifying time. His first time is a 156.095. The next closest time, a 156.4. So like we've been seeing from Christopher Hill, he has a phenomenal lead early on in the qualifying session, and there's still about 5 minutes left. Just over 5 minutes left for him to be able to make even more time up, make even more ground as those tires get warm.
Of course, and of course here on the iRacing service, these drivers have 2 laps or about 10 minutes to complete their qualifying attempts here at Watkins Glen International. So some of these drivers are trying to complete their final lap, as a couple of cars have just come across the line. Tyler Perry with a 2:02 flat, so he is currently completing his second lap. But still, looking at timing and scoring, Dave Hines, that number 57, always had a strong car these past several races, was always up there, and I believe, if I remember correctly, took home one of the checkered flags so far this season, if I'm looking at my records correctly.
Absolutely, and it's not just in this series that he's been doing well. In fact, Kurt Poulter, Dave Hines, and Matt Kalish, all 3 of whom are in this series and are, in fact, in our top 2, 3, and 4 positions, also happen to partake in the Recaro iRace of Remembrance 6 hours at Sebring last Sunday, and they won the race overall in the BMW GT4, the exact same car we are seeing here today on this track. So, not only are these drivers really good just here in this series, but they are some of the best drivers on iRacing right now in these cars. Their times are very strong, and they know exactly what they're doing with these cars here.
Could be possibility of a string of BMW wins this weekend, especially over at Sebring. We just saw like we just pointed out, Poulter, Hines, and Kalish winning the Recaro iRacing Remembrance, maybe their BMW counterparts both in the GS class and the GT Le Mans and GT Daytona class could possibly take home some victories at Sebring this weekend. So something to keep in mind of as they continue on here. Qualifying is about to come to a close. It is still going to be Christopher Hill at the top of the leaderboard, the only driver to break into the 155 bracket with a 155.894. Absolutely flying lap around Watkins Glen International.
Absolutely, that is a blistering time in the BMW GT4s here. 155.894 is definitely nothing to shake a stick at. The next closest is Kurt Poulter, who again was a member of that iRacing, iRace to Remember, for Remembrance rather, sorry. He's in second place currently with a 156.222, throwing trips down on the decimal points there. Another person who threw trips down on the decimal points, 156.333 in Ismail Sierra. I think this is the furthest up the leaderboard that we've seen the 19 car. So we'll have to see what he does here, if he's able to capitalize on what seems to be quite a brisk pace here compared to his other showings.
He certainly is. We'll have to keep track as qualifying continues to come to a close. About 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Currently, right now, you're on board with Peter Eastman right now. Currently sits 11th on the timing and scoring with a 157.20. Having a good time right now. Of course, Eastman from the New Jersey chapter of the BMW Car Club of America. And, of course, those old-fashioned BMW colors with the TireRack logo up on top over the windshield as he dives into the final corner, which actually, this final corner here is very critical. You got to make sure you get the power down at the right exact time. Otherwise, you could either get a little bit too loose, spin the car out, hit that little tire barrier down toward pit entrance, or get a little too tight and end up scraping the wall off the corner exit. So he's going to have to take it easy and see what these other drivers can do as the night goes on.
Absolutely. It's not just that corner that is critical either. The uphill that Peter Eastman just went through is also incredibly important. As we take a look here at,
looks like to be Matt Kalish.
Matt Kalish. He's going through
the 90 and now coming up the S's.
Yeah. So this section of the track is incredibly vital to the drivers here, because it is very easy for these cars to get light as you come over the crest, and it's very easy to lose control there, especially in this sim where your inputs are key. If you're a little too jagged on your inputs and you're not smooth enough, you can lose control of your car. So that'll be a very vital point of the course that we're gonna have to watch to make sure these drivers are keeping it clean, and they'll have to smooth their inputs and be very careful with their steering there.
They certainly will. Of course, Matt Kalish, very familiar with the Watkins Glen International. Of course, he is from none other than the New York chapter here of the BMW Car Club of America, so I'm pretty sure he is quite familiar with this circuit as he is coming out of the toe of the boot, as we are using the full layout here, and we are not using the NASCAR Cup Series layout. They are running the full circuit, what we would see such as in the 6 hours of Watkins Glen or open wheel events, as he comes out of the heel, making his way up to the transition where he's back on the main course. And currently right now, Matt Kalish has just completed. We are now done with qualifying. That only means one thing. It's time to give you the starting grid, which of course the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series is brought to you by TireRack.com. Over 2.7 million square feet of distribution centers, 27 major tire brands, and many more to choose from, and 60 wheel brands, most deliveries to be available by next business day. Competitive pricing, industry trusted reviews, and extensive customer service. TireRack.com, America's leading performance tires and wheel source. Of course, starting on the pole from the San Diego chapter, Christopher Hill, followed by Kurt Poulter from the Buckeye chapter in second. Third place from the Trillium chapter, you will find Adam Pohl, with Ismail Sierra, hometown favorite from the New York chapter, starting fourth. Moving further down into fifth position from the Allegheny chapter, we'll find Dave Hines, followed by Rafael Torres from the Peachtree chapter in sixth. Evan Levine from the Tar Heel chapter will be starting in seventh, with Chris Braun from the Boston chapter. He will be starting eighth. Currently, as we go further down to 9th from the New York chapter, Matt Kalish, and rounding out your top 10 from the Boston chapter, Rafael España. And as we go a little further down to the New Jersey chapter in 11th, we find Peter Eastman, followed by Robert Gagliardo from the Blue Ridge chapter in the 12th position. 13th position from the Tar Heel chapter will be Enrique Williams, followed by Cameron Evans from the Tejas chapter in 14th. Brooks Zazelle from the Tar Heel chapter is in 15th. From the National Capital chapter, Peter Lennick in 16th. In the 17th position from the Genesee Valley chapter is Dylan McKenzie, followed by the Los Angeles chapter of Paul Wick-Boldley in 18th. Roadrunner chapter of Tyler Perry, he's going to be starting in the 19th position with Colin Kortetnik. In the National chapter, he is going to be starting in 20th. In 21st, Steve Liadis is going to be starting there. And then in the Buckeye chapter, riding shotgun, Charlie Copper in 22nd. As the field works their way down the back straightaway, heading into the bus stop chicane for the first time. Under caution, the iRacing.com pace truck leading them through there. We are going to be seeing quite a very interesting race. Strix, any final thoughts before we turn them loose?
Well, there's just one final thought. I keep mentioning it because it's a really neat rule. Today's brown zone rule is going to be taking place after the chicane, after that bus stop on that long straightaway. And that means that brown zone basically means that penalties are going to be a lot more strict. If there's any contact, the race controller are going to be looking at the contact and being very, very strict about punishing the people who are at fault for causing the contact. But beyond that, it's releasing the hounds, as it were, just going as hard as you can, trying to make up as many positions as possible. So it's all about keeping it clean through the uphill chicane on lap 1, and then getting through the bus stop cleanly, and then you hit the gas and you go for it.
Certainly indeed. We will be going for 20 minutes or 11 laps here for race number 1 here tonight at Watkins Glen International. And like Strix brought out, these S's on opening laps can be very important to get through. These drivers are going to take it clean, but we have seen incidents in all forms of motorsports, whether it be NASCAR or sports car racing. Those climbing S's coming out of the 90 of turn number 1 can be very deadly to drivers, where it could cost them a race finishing here tonight at Watkins Glen. And now, for the final time, the pace car will lead them down the straightaway here before we turn them loose here for race 1 of 2, before we bring the 2020 BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series to a close. As the pace truck is leading them from the final 2 corners, it's going to make that hard right turn down pit road, and we will turn them loose. Chris Hill, Kurt Poulter will lead them to the green as they come out of the final corner under pace speed. Here they go. Pace truck is on pit road. Green flag is out. We are underway for race number 1, and we are going to go 4 wide almost, as a couple of cars are trying to get themselves lined up, heading into the 90 for the first time. We see Chris Hill holding light, 3 wide, now 4 wide in front of them as they go through the 90 once again. Have to be careful. That area, wherever they're in the asphalt area, is okay to go on, but if you do get off that area and come back and make an accident happen, you will be penalized for that situation, as they now climb the S's for the first time under green flag conditions. Everybody staying single file as they work their way down the back straightaway for the first time and made their way to the bus stop chicane.
All the drivers were able to make it through that chicane perfectly. You love to see it. No accidents. We're still under the green flag as they come through the bus stop, and this is where the brown zone ends. Now they're going to be unleashing the engines in these powerful BMW GT4 cars and just trying to chase each other. However, as we're watching down here with Matt Kalish, you can see just off in the distance Christopher Hill trying to make some ground up as he makes a mistake, and now he's been overtaken by Kurt Poulter in the 44 car.
Kurt Poulter now your new race leader as they come out of the toe of the boot and working their way up to the heels where they get back onto the transition course. A quick little update though, the 488 of Peter Eastman He went on a wild ride, almost made contact with several cars out on the racetrack, but with unfortunately no issues, was able to continue and is now back on race circuit, sitting in 21st position right now. So he has a little bit of a climb to hill, but meanwhile back up to the front of the field, we see Kurt Poulter, Christopher Hill, 1-2 with Rafael Torres and Adam Pohl battling for the third position as they come to the final two corners here at Watkins Glen to complete lap number 1 here at Watkins Glen. Out of the final corner for the first time here tonight, it is going to be Kurt Poulter to lead the first lap, followed by Christopher Hill. Battle for third now going on. Adam Pohl to the inside of Rafael Torres, into the inside as they head to the 90. Pohl will be able to take that third position away, but Rafael will battle to the outside as they come out of the 90 here. They're still going to remain side by side. Torres goes a little off course, but is able to keep it straight and narrow through the S as they will climb.
That is an incredible battle from these two drivers, but as you can see off in the distance, Christopher Hill and Kurt Poulter up in the lead. They haven't been battling themselves necessarily as much, and this is probably a strategy by Christopher Hill just to bide his time, keep from attacking and slowing down him and Kurt Poulter. He wants to be able to make sure that nobody behind him is given another opportunity to go and pass them. And as I say this, it seems as though Robert Gagliardo has been black flagged for an incident earlier on in the race. I'm not exactly sure what for. Brooks Esel also receiving a black flag, so they'll have to go through pit lane to serve those penalties.
Meanwhile, just a few moments ago as well, when they were entering into the 90, Colin Kortnick and I believe to be Paul Wigboldley got together into the 90, causing some issues. Kortnick will be able to continue on, but Wigboldley had some damage to his BMW. Or actually, sorry about that. That actually was Enrique Williams who had some damage to his BMW M4 GT4. So he is currently dropped all the way back to the tail end of the field and has to make the climb up to the field before the checkered flag falls to try to get a better spot. But right now, that number 50 BMW is struggling for pace right now.
And then back up at the front, again, Christopher Hill and Kurt Poulter. They are just running away with the lead. You can see the gap behind is extending. The gap being over 2.5 seconds behind Kurt Poulter. And Christopher Hill seems to be looking on the inside of turn 1, but thinks better of it. Maybe now is not quite the time he wants to be attacking. He's just going to fill the rearview mirror of Kurt Poulter and try and just stay with him, while the rest of the pack is left trying to catch up as fast as possible as they go up through the uphill S's.
Let's take a little bit further back around the top 10 right now between Chris Braun, Rafael Espinal, and also Matt Kalish. They're coming out of the S's down the back straightaway right now. Kalish from the New York chapter, of course, trying to get a good finish for the hometown crowd here. He is going to go to the bus stop chicane, single file with Robert Gagliardo right behind him as well. So there is 4 cars battling for the 8th position. Through the carousel they will go before they make their way into the booth. But Chris Braun doing a great job of holding on to that 8th position as they enter the booth. Single file for right now, but Matt Kalish still takes a peek to the inside of Rafael Espinal, and it still can't quite make it work. Gagliardo watches on, ready to pounce if any one of them make a mistake.
Absolutely, and with Matt Kalish as well as Chris Braun in that fight for position, both of those drivers, as I mentioned before, competed on a team together in a BMW car representing the BMW Car Club of America. But here it's a completely different story. It's every man for themselves, and they're going to be trying to scrounge up any position they can get. Further up the field, however, Christopher Hill and Kurt Poulter are still running away with a lead. The gap is just a little bit closer, though, with 2.3 seconds between Kurt Poulter, the leader, and the group behind him, led by Rafael Torres.
Indeed, right now, as he is holding on ahead of Adam Pohl and Dave Hines, who Dave Hines is in a little bit of a battle with Evan Levine and Ismael Sierra right now. Sierra's going to take a look to the inside of Levine, down the front straightaway, heading into the 90. Will he break later to try to gain the position? No, he's going to hold his line. Now he'll dive to the inside, trying to go side by side as Levine is able to maintain position. Coming up to the SS, Sierra will try to follow suit. hit the curbing as best that he can. Don't want to go over the curbing too much. You can easily lose control of your race car. But as they come out of the S's down the back straightaway, this is a great opportunity to utilize the slipstream to gain time and positions on your competitors right now as they go down the straightaway, heading towards the bus stop chicane. Once again, Sierra not close enough to make a pass just yet.
And one thing you should note as well, as Ismail Sierra and Evan Levine fight through turn one, as they fought through turn one, you could see just behind them, Chris Braun looking at this fight and being able to gain just a few tenths of a second after that turn one incident. And that is a very important factor that you have to consider when you're trying to make up a position. When you're battling with somebody, you're ultimately losing a lot of time, and you're allowing your fellow competitors behind you a chance to catch up. So it's kind of a risk-reward system. You have to choose your battles and be able to figure out when is a good overtaking opportunity so that you can get the pass done and then run away.
He certainly is trying to do that right now, but Levine doing a great job of holding on to that position right now as they come up to the transition corner and head down this straightaway before they get to the final two corners here at Watkins Glen International. Chris Braun is right there as well, getting involved in this mixed battle as they come out of the final two corners here. We've seen now Sierra look to the inside. Will he try to make the pass? Not quite yet. This allows Chris Braun to gain a little bit more time. He'll try the outside, now cross over to the inside. He'll go side by side with Sierra. Sierra tries to throw the block, but it's too little, too late. Side by side into the 90 they will go. Hitting the brake zone they will now enter. Chris Braun now will move up into 7th position as Levine goes way too wide off there through turn one and is able to still maintain his position.
And once again, just as I said, you need to pick your battles. It seemed as though Ismail Sierra just wasn't quite far enough alongside Evan Levine to make the pass, and as a result couldn't use all of the track that he had in order to get the best exit. So as a result, Chris Braun was able to catch up very quickly and make that pass on the next collection of turns. So, again, it's a very risk-reward kind of system where you have to choose your battles. As we look forward towards Christopher Hill and Kurt Poulter, they are still very close together, but it seems they might have been fighting a little bit because the gap between them and Rafael Torres in 3rd place has shrunk to about 1.5 seconds. That's almost like a 7 or 8 second or 7 or 8 tenths of a second gain out of that.
It certainly is right now. In fact, looking at the lap times, Christopher Hill ran a little bit faster than Kurt Poulter right now, running a 156.8 compared to Kurt Poulter's 156.9. And currently right now, the fastest car out on the racetrack, well, it's none other than Adam Pohl in that number 11 BMW with a 156.162. So he is definitely trying to throw the gauntlet to gain some time as they come across on. Actually, Rafael Torres just set a new time with a 155.886. Oh, trouble out of the final corner. Christopher Hill tags the wall and coming out of the final corner, and he's going to lose a ton of time that he has tried to gain back up to Kurt Poulter right now as they dive it into turn number 1. Hill trying to regain control and get things back in a rhythm, but it's going to be a little bit of time as they lost that momentum.
Yeah, we're going to have to check and see. There's a little bit of damage on that driver's side door as well as the front driver's side bumper, just on the front bumper there. We're going to have to see if that affects his drafting, his ability to catch up to the driver ahead, because if he loses that draft, it's very possible that he's going to slow down as a result of that damage. It could be aerodynamic damage that'll be slowing him down if he's outside of the slipstream. So he's going to have to try and stay as close to Kurt Poulter as possible to minimize the effects of that damage. But with Rafael Torres right behind, this is the kind of thing he wants to see through his windshield. He wants to see these mistakes happen so that he's able to catch up and try and make the pass on the top 2 drivers in this race.
He's certainly going to try. Right now, it is still Kurt Poulter, the fastest car out on the racetrack with a 155.9 compared to Christopher Hill's 156.1. About 4/10 of a second separate the 2 drivers. Then you have to go another 1.7 seconds back to Rafael Torres Jr. in the 777 as they go into the heel of the boot, coming out of their boot section, heading back onto the main course as they continue up the hill now through the final couple of corners. Torres still holding strong, and then you have to go another 1.9 seconds back to the 11 of Adam Pohl. Dave Hines currently sits in 5th in the 57 car. He's about 2 seconds back from the rest of the top 4 right now. Looking through the field to see if anybody else who we can pick on to mention some things about. Tyler Perry right now in a great battle with Dylan McKenzie as they come up to the transition. Here comes Cameron Evans and Rafael Espinal as well. So we have a 4-car battle for the 10th, 11th position right now as they are working their way through the final few corners. Perry will hold on over McKenzie, but Evans trying to work the outside line to get through.
This is an incredible battle here. What once was a 4-car battle has now turned down to just a 3-car battle as Tyler Perry runs away, gets the pass done, moves on, while the other cars battle for position behind him. This is a view that he wants to see. He wants to see these cars.
Ooh, trouble right behind him. Cameron Evans, Espinal has also made more contact with Steve Liatis and Robert Gagliardo trying to get through it without any damage, but a big issue between Rafael Espinal and Cameron Evans as well. And Evans probably not too happy about that contact, but Rafael just missed the braking point and just sent him around.
Yeah, it seemed as though, looking back through the footage, Rafael Espinal just missed his braking point completely. Tried to dodge out of the way to avoid contact, but unfortunately it was too little, too late. Drove straight into the back, and that you just don't like to see this kind of thing. You want to see two drivers trying to, pass each other cleanly and get things done, but that is a lot of damage on the 176 car of Cameron Evans. And there's also a significant amount of damage on Rafael Espinal's vehicle, so we'll have to see how they manage to crawl their way back out of this and then move on to the next race and see how they place there.
Of course, Cameron Evans sitting in 18th after that contact, and Rafael Espinal, if he does not, which he just has received the penalty, he currently sits in the 15th position right now. So a tough night for those two drivers as they will continue on their way. About 6.5 minutes left to go on the clock after they have completed soon to be 8 of 11 laps this time around, as we still keep an eye on the battle for the race lead. Kurt Poulter and Christopher Hill, your top 2 right now, and Rafael Torres slowly but surely closing in. And for those of you wondering, how is Rafael Torres catching up to our top 2 right now? Well, he is a driving instructor. He is from, of course, none other than the Performance Center of the East Division of the BMW Car Club of America. And Chris Hill, who's been one of our most dominant drivers, he's also a Performance Center instructor, but for the Western Division. So both of these two drivers putting on a great show and showcasing their talents here in these BMW GT4s as they are working their way through the carousels right now. Chris Hill in that #1 BMW as we keep an eye through the rest of the field right now. And it looks like we are on board right now with Dylan McKenzie, who's also from the New York chapter. As he's working his way through. And he is actually on a great battle with Robert Gagliardo from the Blue Ridge chapter. He is tightly trying to keep up with him as they come through the bus stop chicane, once again heading into the carousel. A great battle for these two drivers as they put on a great show for us here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Absolutely, and you can see through the exit of that bus stop, Robert Gagliardo getting it just right and getting a large gap, just extending that gap from Dylan McKenzie. But I don't think we can really discount Dylan McKenzie. He's actually been not doing too bad. His best lap is a 1:59.2, and then ahead of him, Robert Gagliardo with a 1:57.6. That is actually pretty close, or pretty far away considering those are best laps. But anything is really possible. You could be really fast and be really inconsistent. So despite the fact that Dylan McKenzie got passed and now Robert Gagliardo is trying to run away and catch up to now Tyler Perry in front of him, it's entirely possible that a mistake could be made, and Dylan McKenzie will be able to make up that position again.
He's going to try to do that as best that he can right now, but he is about 1.8 seconds back from Robert Gagliard as they come out of the final corner. Once again, about 4 minutes left to go on the clock, and it is still Chris Hill, Kurt Poulter, but Poulter, he's pulled away a little bit, about 1.1 seconds now. This is the farthest gap we've seen since the drop of the green flag over Christopher Hill. And Rafael Torres, well, he is right there. He has gained about 0.8 of a second behind Christopher Hill as they now enter into the boot once again, and they dive it into the boot section of the course. And Rafael Torres is going to be closing ever so slightly. He may take a look as they climb up to the toe of the boot. And right now he is doing a great job battling with the two instructors going head to head as they come out of the toe of the boot heading into the heel.
Now, one thing we have to remember here, Christopher Hill has sustained damage. There was that one lap where he ended up tagging the wall coming onto the exit of the final corner, but he also did it again. He's done it twice now, at least. We now see some damage on the rear bumper there, and we have to think about that aero damage. It's entirely possible that he's now becoming quite a lot slower as a result of that damage. His last lap, a 156.7, while Chris Poulter's last lap, a 156.4. And Rafael Torres, just just about 7 hundredths of a second faster with a 156.719. So it's entirely possible with Rafael Torres in that slipstream, he's going to be able to catch up quite a lot faster, especially after the uphill chicanes.
We're going to have to keep an eye on that battle, but meanwhile, a little further back for the fourth position, Adam Pohl, Dave Hines going head-to-head as they come out of the 90. This battle has been heating up ever so slightly now for the past couple of laps. It's about 0.2 of a second between the two drivers as they make the climb up through the S's. Adam Pohl on that number 11 holding strong right now, but Dave Hines a little bit faster last time around with a 156.9 to Pohl's 157.5 as they go down the back straightaway heading towards the bus stop chicane. Let's see if Hines will make a pass for position here through the bus stop. He's not close enough to the entrance, but will try to gain some ground on the exit. Through the carousel they will go, and it is still going to be Adam Pohl holding strong in the inside through the carousel as they now enter into the boot.
Now this is another critical section of this course. Down here it's a downhill cambered corner, and then it kind of opens up a little bit on the bottom, as well as slightly reducing that camber, so it could take you off take you off of what's the word, take you by surprise if you're not prepared for it. But of course these drivers navigated just fine here. And as we look at the gap here between Dave Hines and Adam Pohl, about 0.6 seconds. So they're still kind of staying right around the same time. They're kind of, with Dave Hines having the last lap being faster than Adam Pohl's, we'll have to check and see what the lap times are like around this time, because it doesn't seem like the gap is really shrinking all that much.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, back up front, Kurt Poulter, well, he is receiving the white flag this time by. That means 1 lap to go left for the number 44. He is now diving into turn 1 for the final time here tonight as we now watch the battle for second starting to heat up between the two instructors. Christopher Hill, Rafael Torres Jr. climbing the S's once again for the final time here. This is for all the marbles for second position here tonight for race number 1 of 2. Will Rafael Torres be able to get around Christopher Hill and east versus west as they go down the back straightaway?
Christopher Hill has been doing a fantastic job trying to keep Rafael Torres behind him despite the damage on his vehicle, taking a very defensive line into the bus stop, but this is probably going to affect his corner exit speed, so Rafael Torres will not be any further behind in his mirror. He's still going to be there, so Christopher Hill is going to continue to be defensive throughout this entire course, trying to keep Rafael Torres behind him as we come through is that the heel of the boot?
That is the toe of the boot right now. The heel of the boot is the second half.
Oh, okay. I keep getting them mixed up.
Same here. I used to do that too. It's all good. But right now, they are coming out of the toe of the boot, heading into the heel for the final time. Kurt Poulter, he's checked out by about 2.5 seconds. So this is a battle as we keep waiting and watching for Kurt Poulter to come across the line here to take the checkered flag. Rafael Torres tries to get a good run out of the heel of the boot and tries to make the climb up through the transition. Not close enough to make a pass just yet as they come through there. Out of the final few corners they will go. 2 more corners left for Kurt Poulter in that number 44. He makes it through 1 corner. Now the final corner once again. Kurt Poulter in the number 44 BMW from the Buckeye chapter. Coming out of the final corner, he will taste victory here at Watkins Glen International for race number 1. And for the second position, it's going to be side by side. Christopher Hill will hold off for Rafael Torres, as there's a gaggle of cars coming across the line. The 57, I believe, of Dave Hines will hold on to that position for 4th, or 5th, I should say, as the rest of the field works their way through. We will soon give you the full field rundown of race number 1, and what a race it was for several drivers. Kurt Poulter, of course, taking home the checkered flag, showing that one of our most dominant drivers this season, Christopher Hill, does have the opportunity to make some mistakes this season.
Absolutely, we saw him at least once during the broadcast on the video screen here. We saw him hit the wall on the exit of the final corner, but he did hit that again off screen and gained a little more damage on the side of that car. And you saw Rafael Torres right behind him, able to catch up incredibly quickly while Kurt Poulter was able to run away. Usually that's the kind of thing that Christopher Hill is able to do, just kind of run away from the field and just be completely unchallenged. But this time it seemed Kurt Poulter was the one to take advantage of that and takes the win in the first race.
And with that, let us go ahead and give you your full field rundown here of race number 1. Your race winner, of course, is none other than Kurt Poulter in that number 44 from the Buckeye chapter, followed by Christopher Hill in 2nd from the San Diego chapter. Rafael Torres Jr. from the Peachtree chapter will come home in 3rd, followed by Adam Pohl in 4th. Dave Hines will come home in the 5th position, followed by Chris Braun in 6th. 7th position goes to Ismael Sierra, another New York chapter driver, followed by Evan Levine in 8th. 9th position, another New York chapter driver, Matt Kalish in 9th, and Peter Lanik rounds out your top 10.
And then in your top 20, we have Dylan McKenzie from the Genesee Valley in the 11th position. In 12th, we have Peter Eastman from New Jersey chapter. In 13th, we've got Cameron Evans in the 176 car from the Tejas chapter. In 14th, we have Colin Kortanek from the National Capital chapter. I believe that one is around DC or something like that. In 15th position, we have Tyler Perry from the Roadrunner chapter. In 16th, we have from the 47 car, Steve Liadis. And then in 17th, just behind him, finishing in the 77 car, Brooks Ezel. Behind him, Robert Gagliardo in the 18th position. In 19th, we have Paul Wigboldy. And in 20th, we have Rafael Orivas Espinal finishing 3 laps back.
And of course, in the 21st position from the Tar Heel chapter, 6 laps down, Enrique Williams. Charlie Copper did not start. He will finish 22nd. And with that, we are going to take you on a quick commercial break, but don't worry, we'll be right back to bring you race number 2 of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series live from Watkins Glen International.
You bought the car, now add the lifestyle option. The BMW Car Club of America, the largest single-mark car club in the world, is where you can experience every amazing aspect of the BMW lifestyle. And if you're an active BMW owner, the club membership more than pays for itself within the span of a year with discounts like 15% off the BMW Performance Center programs and parts and service discounts from participating dealers. As a member, you'll also receive the award-winning Roundel magazine and the new Bimmer Life magazine. Join now at BMWCCA.org.
The BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series is brought to you by TireRack.com. Over 2.7 million square feet of distribution centers, 27 major brands, and 60 wheel brands, most available to deliver by next business day, competitive pricing, industry trusted reviews, and extensive customer service support. TireRack.com is America's leading performance tire and wheel source. Also brought to you by Bimmer World, FCP Euro, Grassroots Motorsports, HMS Motorsports, Motion Control Suspension, Off-Camber Autosports, PFC Brakes, Redline Synthetic Oil, Sunoco, and finally, VAC Motorsports. Currently, right now, we are under warm-up for race number 2 of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series live from the virtual Watkins Glen International. And joining us in the booth once again is winner of race number 1, the number 44 from the Buckeye chapter, Kurt Poulter. Kurt, welcome up into the booth. How are you doing?
How are you guys?
Good. Tell us a little bit about how the race was for you on race 1. You had a very close battle with Chris Hill up until he hit the wall out of the final corner of turn 11. Tell us about how the track conditions were and your race.
Got off to a pretty decent start. I was a little worried there around turn 1. Looked like Adam may have had me on the inside into 2, but he let out of it, and I was able to get a good run on Chris up through the bus stop. And I think he made a little bit of air into I guess the part of the boot there. I forget which part it is, but a little bit of an air there off track, and I was able to get by him and just tried to keep a steady pace and try to stay out in front of him. And yeah, it was a very close battle for many laps up until he brushed the wall, unfortunately, and that gave me the room to kind of scoot away a little bit and have a little bit better gap throughout the rest of the race.
All right, now we're getting ready for race number 2. How confident do you feel about sweeping tonight's races?
I'm going to go for it. This week in practice has been pretty good for me, so I'm hoping I can keep it out front and bring it home.
All right, Kurt. Well, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, definitely. Evolve Rain Solutions, Turn-In Concepts, Heel and Toe Apparel, Enthusiast Auto Group, and Obsessed Garage. Those guys are all great, and I appreciate all their help, support.
Of course, that is Kurt Poulter, your race 1 winner here at Watkins Glen International, and Strix has caught up with our second place finisher of race 1, Christopher Hill.
Now, Christopher Hill, you were able to qualify on pole with a very quick time. The only driver, I believe, to get into the 155s. But unfortunately, a little mistake cost you the win here. What happened there?
Yeah, had a bad first lap there, and Kurt got by pretty easily early on, and then I was kind of just trying to hang with him for a while and not really get too aggressive on trying to pass him there, because I was waiting for more. I could see Rafa was back a little distance and didn't want him to catch up, and then that plan kind of went away as soon as I made a big mistake and bounced off the wall in the front straight. And then I was just trying to hang in there, and I did it again, and oh boy, wasn't the cleanest race I've had, but at least we still finished on the podium, so 1 to go.
Yeah, you got one more race to go, and what kind of strategy are you going to have coming into this race? Are you going to change anything about your strategy, or is it basically more of the same, just cleaner?
Well, I'd stay off the wall. That's part of it for sure. And then, if I can get in the lead early on, I'd like to. I think I've got a little more pace than Kurt in open air, but it's hard to tell. And then if I can do that, maybe I can stretch out. Otherwise, we'll see what happens. But I know Raphael is going to be wanting to get by the first lap as quick as he can. He's always a kamikaze, not in a bad way, but always trying to get there. So it should be an interesting first lap or two, and as long as we survive it, we should be able to battle for that podium. So
All right, and before I let you go, is there anybody out there that you want to thank, or anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Just the usual, always thanking the wife and thanking the Performance Center and everybody for putting on this amazing league. It's awesome what it's turning into over this period of time here.
Awesome. Now, great job in the heat, and we'll see you in the final. Good luck to you, and I'll let you go, and we'll get Taylor Burris around here to catch up with Rafael Torres.
Hey there.
Here with Rafael Torres. He's actually strapping in to get ready for the final race. Rafael finishing in third position. Had a close battle with Chris, but before we let you go, racing here for race number 2, how was your thoughts and how's the track out there for you?
Hey, if you guys watch the start of the race, turn 1, I'm glad I've survived turn 1.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people, including yourself, are glad they were able to survive turn 1, lap 1. Well, Rafael, before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to say thank you to?
No, just thank you to Sim Experience. They provided this direct drive wheel and the BMW driving school where I work as a driving instructor. If you want to learn how to drive, come visit us.
Of course, that is Rafael Torres Jr. driving that BMW M4 GT4, and he will actually be starting in the third position for race number 2. And with that, we are actually now getting ready to run race number 2. Strix, final thoughts before we give you the starting lineup tonight.
Well, first of all, to give some context, Rafael Torres was one of the drivers who went 3 wide into turn 1, so I can absolutely understand why he was quite a bit nervous about that one, but he was obviously able to keep his cool, and I think that's what the idea is for this race as well. We saw Christopher Hill get inside his own head a little bit and end up making a few mistakes. This track, while being quite wide in some areas, is still not forgiving. The elevation changes and camber changes will sometimes upset the car, especially the bumps on track, which are all perfectly laser scanned from the real track into the virtual version. So you're going to see the car get upset in the exact same place you would expect it in real life. So a lot of these drivers are going to have to focus up, try and figure out where their car is fastest on the track, and try and remain consistent this time around to see if they can get the top spot.
We will find out soon enough who will get the top spot here pretty soon. But right now it is time for your starting lineup of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series, which is brought to you by TireRack.com. Over 2.7 million square feet of distribution center space, 27 major tire brands, and 60 wheel brands, most available to deliver by next business day. Competitive pricing, industry trusted reviews, and extensive customer support. TireRack.com, America's leading performance tire and wheel source. Starting on the pole for race number 2, Kurt Poulter from the Buckeye chapter in that number 44 BMW. In second place from the San Diego chapter will be Christopher Hill. Rafael Torres Jr. from the Peachtree chapter will be starting in third. Another classic East versus West battle between those two drivers for the instructors. Adam Pohl from the Trillium chapter will be starting fourth, followed by Dave Hines in fifth from the Allegheny chapter. Chris Braun from the Boston chapter will be starting sixth, followed by seventh place of Ismael Sierra from the New York chapter. Eighth position will be started by Evan Levine from the Tar Heel chapter. As we go further down to ninth, another New York chapter driver, Matt Kalish, and rounding out your top 10 from the National Capital chapter, Peter Lennick.
In 11th position in the 839 car, Dylan McKenzie from the Genesee Valley. And behind him, Peter Eastman from the New Jersey chapter in 12th position. In 13th position, we have Cameron Evans from the Tejas chapter. And behind him, Colin Kortanek from the National Capital chapter in the 35 car, starting on the 14th position on the grid. Behind him, 15th position, Tyler Perry from the Roadrunner chapter in the 28 car. And following him, Steve Liadis in the 47 car, starting in 16th. In 17th, we have the 77 car of Brooks Ezel from the Tar Heel chapter. Behind him, Robert Gagliardo in the 609, starting 18th. Paul Wigboldy in the 80 car, starting 19th. And rounding out your top 20, Rafael Espinal from the Boston chapter in the 82 car.
21st will be from the Tar Heel chapter of Enrique Williams, followed by Charlie Copper from the Buckeye chapter in 22nd. Well, pretty soon we will be seeing a bunch of BMWs wiggling and moving about here as we get ready for race number 2. 20 minutes or once again 11 laps around this beautiful circuit. As they are coming on, we'll give you a quick little diagram of how big this track is. Of course, Watkins Glen International is 3.36 miles, 11 turns. Of course, the time of day is at 7:45 a.m. and of course it is on none other than iRacing Day, May 15th, 2020. Pace truck here as we zoom in from above here on Google Earth to see this layout. This track, Strix, is full of history as we are watching and waiting for the pace truck to lead the field to the green flag. But such a wide variety of history, I mean, SCCA sports car races, of course, club racing with BMW, and of course, the big race of them all, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen. Of course, Watkins Glen has also hosted Formula One races back in the 60s and 70s. But once again, sports car racing is what makes Watkins Glen so popular amongst fans as they are now working their way out of the final 2 corners. The pace truck will make the hard left turn, and we will be going green flag racing here once again for race number 2. Poulter, Hill leading them to the green flag. Waiting. Green flag is out, and we are underway for race number 2 of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series, and we are wasting no time. 4, 3, even 5 wide even almost as they head into turn number 1. 4 wide a little bit further back as they go. No major issues as one car goes a little bit wide, but for the most part, everybody contact in front of cars are going around. More contact is involved. Several cars spinning out and big damage from multiple drivers, and I'm pretty sure the race officials are going to be wondering what happened with this incident.
There was a lot that was going on here. The first car to get out of shape was Tyler Perry in the 28, just getting a little out of shape on corner entry, eating up quite a lot of that curve, but he was able to save it. But unfortunately, due to the crash happening ahead of him, getting a car spun out into the wall, he was collected in that incident. So as good a job as he did collecting the car and keeping damage off of it, it seemed that the accident that happened right in front of him just ended up collecting him. There was nothing he could do there. Many other cars there just along for the ride, and unfortunately that is a huge amount of damage pushed out in the final race at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, the initial contact happened when Evan Levine made contact with Ismail Sierra and just turned him right around. A couple of more cars that were involved were none other than Steve Liatis, Dylan McKenzie, and also Tyler Perry, Paul Wood-Bodley, Rafael Espinal, and just terrible incidents happening all around the circuit as they're trying to get themselves gathered back up. Most of them have requested a tow to continue on their way, but right now, keeping an eye on our race leader, Kurt Poulter is about to complete lap number 1, but someone new has joined into the top 2 right now, and it is Rafael Torres right now who's moved into second. Christopher Hill, he's fallen all the way back to the 5th position as we will find out what happened to the number 1 BMW M4 GT4. And looking at it, it happened on the initial start. He just ran wide into turn number 1 there and lost all that precious positions that he had at the start of the race.
Yeah, Christopher Hill is going to have to make up a lot of ground as the cars ahead of him are starting to battle quite a lot. This is the exact opportunity that Christopher Hill has wanted in order to be able to make up all that ground back. Now we can see right here, he's able to gain and close the gap. He's now a part of the group after having been about half a second or more behind the gap, and now he's going for a position up against Chris Braun, going on the outside. Chris Braun defending on the inside. Christopher Hill thinks better of it, backs out, and gives Chris Braun the position to fight another day.
He certainly did, but that allows Matt Kalish in that number 54, who was able to avoid all the incidents on lap number 1, to get involved in this battle now. So we have a now 6-car battle for the race lead as they now enter into the boot here, coming up towards the toe of the boot. Kurt Poulter has a 6/10 of a second lead over Rafael Torres. Dave Hines now into the podium position of 3rd. Chris Braun now holding over Christopher Hill in 5th. As you look to the field, we also got to include 2 more drivers into this battle. The 11 of Adam Pohl and the 488 of Peter Eastman, who had a little bit of trouble on race 1. He is now making a nice recovery, moving inside the top 10 as they now enter the heel of the boot.
There is a lot going on through this first event. Lots of big things happening in the very first lap of this race to inspire so much change. And really at this point, it can be anybody's race. We see up at the top, Kurt Poulter is trying to pull away from the rest of the group. He does have a little bit of an interval, but it's not exactly comfortable. He's still going to have to remain consistent and stay as quick as possible to try and extend that gap as Rafael Torres and an entire group of people behind him continue to try and catch up, try and make up all that time to be able to get that position. They are all thirsty for it.
They certainly are. Currently the fastest driver out of that 7-8 car group is none other than Matt Kalish, the New York chapter driver, with a 156.606. The next car that's closest to him, Kurt Poulter, with a 156.608. So 0.02 of a second separate the two drivers in lap times as they now work their way through the bus stop chicane right now. Kalish trying everything that he can to get around Christopher Hill and keep Adam Pohl in that number 11 BMW M4 GT4 behind him as they come through the carousel and once again entering into the booth. 15 minutes left to go on the clock.
This is an incredible battle happening back here. We're seeing a lot of guys who are very used to their cars and are very quick. Christopher Hill, of course, has been dominating this series, but Matt Kalish is a part of the team that raced in a 6 hours of Sebring endurance race with the BMW GT4s and the Porsche Cayman. Of course, his team consisting of also Adam Pohl and I believe Kurt Poulter choosing to go with the BMW GT4. And they have been on a tear here at Watkins Glen. They've been doing a fantastic job pushing out very quick, consistent lap times, and that really shows that all this experience in this car is leading up to this moment where Matt Kalish is able to battle it out with Christopher Hill, trying to gain any spots he can, hopefully trying to be able to challenge his teammate, Kurt Poulter, and Chris Braun up in the front.
They certainly are trying to do battle right now as they work their way up through the start-finish line. It looks like a couple of penalties are about to be inbound from that turn 1, lap 1 incident. Looking at timing and scoring, it is going to be several cars. We'll give you the update of who they are. Of course, the 70 of Chris Braun, the 118 of Evan Levine, the 82, which is of Rafael Espinal, and the 28 of Tyler Perry. So 4 cars are going to be receiving penalties to come down pit road to serve them, but it's detrimental for none other than one of those drivers, Chris Braun, who is running quite strongly in the opening runs, but now looks like we have a little bit of a battle for the race lead. Kurt Poulter trying to hold up another hard charge from Torres Jr. as they work their way through the carousel. Torres couldn't quite make it work, but had to try again as they enter into the booth.
This is shaping up to be a fantastic battle. We saw Rafael Torres just fighting with Christopher Hill, and right here, he's finding himself fighting for the top spot. Rafael Torres has been incredibly quick here at Watkins Glen, able to make up a lot of time, keep his car clean, and able to fight another day. And here he is in the top 2 position, trying to get the absolute top spot and bring it home in the final.
He's certainly trying to do that right now as we keep an eye on this battle for the race lead right now. But let's go a little further back through the field. Keep an eye on this battle, of course, between Matt Kalish and Adam Pohl for the 5th position. But I want to look a little bit further back to another New York chapter driver who was involved in that lap 1, turn 1 incident. Ismail Sierra battling with Brooks Azell for the 12th position. They are now entering into the heel of the boot here momentarily. For those, it's a close battle towards the back half of the field right now as they dive it into the heel. It is still doing a great job. Sierra running some very decent competitive lap times, even with that damage, so we'll have to keep track and see if he's able to break into the top 10 before the race is over.
It's entirely possible. We saw in qualifying Ismail Sierra able to make it into the top 5 with like a fantastic lap time of 156.333. It was a really good lap time. And even with all this damage, you know, he is within the draft, able to make up a lot of time and is now right on the back bumper of Brooks Azell. So we absolutely know that Ismael Sierra is capable of making very fast lap times. We're just going to have to see. Ooh, almost gets into the back bumper of Brooks Zell, very close to the rear end. Able to slow it down just in time, though. This is going to be a fantastic battle for sure.
It certainly is going to be a fantastic battle as they continue to battle here at Watkins Glen International. Keeping an eye on that battle for 12th position. And still, nothing has changed up towards the front of the field. Still, Kurt Poulter leading over Rafael Torres Jr. This is probably one of the best battles out on the racetrack right now between these two drivers of Brooks Adele and Isabel Sierra, who is still battling as they come out of the bus stop chicane. They're actually gaining some ground. Well, no, actually, that's all going to be a lap car in front of them. Here goes Sierra to the inside of Azell. He will now move up into 12th and set his sights to get around, looks like to be Steve Liadas right now, who's currently multiple laps down in the 18th position. So he's going to try and give way to none other than our driver of Ismael Sierra from the New York chapter as they go up through the toe of the boot, and nice and smooth run for Sierra to break maybe a shot into the top 10 like we just talked about.
Absolutely, it's entirely possible. Ismael Sierra is absolutely on a tear here, being able to make the pass on Brooks Azell, and now looking at Steve Liadas. Of course, another lap is going to be a lap car to get past, but beyond him, Chris Braun in 11th. Chris Braun is, sitting in 11th here, and the gap is about 20 seconds behind the leader, so there is a huge gap between the top 10 drivers and the very top of the lead driver. But if we do look up ahead at that lead driver with Kurt Poulter, I do believe that lead has extended just a little bit. Rafael Torres not quite going to be able to be close enough to make that move work. He's still within the rearview mirror. He's probably just kind of hanging around, just waiting for his moment to attack, waiting for Kurt Poulter to make a mistake up front.
With Rafael Torres driving like one of the professionals that are running in the IMSA series at Sebring right now, like Robbie Foley or Cameron Lawrence right now, as he's trying to catch up and get around Kurt Poulter for the race lead. Of course, those drivers here in the BMW M4s, they'll be starting second in tomorrow's IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge race, so good effort for the BMW crew as they get ready for the final race of the IMSA series for them, as they are now coming up through the toe of the boot, now coming down the short chute before they get to the heel. But these BMW M4 GT4s putting on a great show here for the battle for the race lead. Poulter doing a great job as we see a little bit of a slide from the 777 of Rafael Torres Jr. Still holding strong, but is still holding in a little bit more, but not by much. He was actually a lot closer when they entered the bus stop chicane compared to this time out of the transition through turns 11 and 12.
Now, one thing we gotta keep in mind as well, Dave Hines is well within the picture now. He has joined the battle for the top spot. His last lap was a 1:56.2, which was 0.3 of a second faster than Rafael Torres and 2.2 seconds of a lap faster than Kurt Poulter as they finally go through, I believe, the start-finish into turn 1. And the times have updated. Both Rafael Torres and Kurt Poulter pushing out 1:56.5s, with Dave Hines giving out a blistering 1:56.13. That is an incredibly quick time, and he has obviously joined the fight with a heck of a showing.
He certainly has. So we will now have a 3-car battle for the race lead here tonight. 7.5 minutes left to go on the clock here at Watkins Glen International for race 2 of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series. Torres getting a good run out of the carousel. Dave Hines falls back just a little bit right now as they now enter into the boot transition. And it is still going to be Hines trying to get a little bit of ground, but he can't quite close the deal. Meanwhile, Christopher Hill, Matt Kalish battling for the 4th position. Here comes Kalish to the inside, but can't get close enough just yet as we keep an eye on that battle for the race lead. But as they go into the toe of the boot, Kalish takes a peek to the inside, but can't get close enough. He's about a car length back as Chris Hill gets a little loose coming out of the toe and now making the short chute run over to the heel.
Now, Christopher Hill and Matt Kalish have been running very fast times. Christopher Hill making a 1:56.2 on his last lap, which is only a little over a tenth slower than Dave Hines. But the thing is, Christopher Hill was the one who set the fastest lap in qualifying for the first race with a 1:55. Like, I cannot state enough how quick that is around this corner, or around this course with this car. He's been doing a fantastic job keeping it clean this time, keeping it off the wall, and being able to pull off a fantastic lap here as he closes out this lap now. Christopher Hill takes a 1:56.8, a little bit slower this time, might have gotten loose in a couple corners, but he's still got a long way to go to be able to catch up to the top three and make some passes and make up those positions.
He's got a long way to go, but a short time to get there. Less than 6 minutes left to go on the clock to try to see if he can make anything work for him to gain another spot or maybe have a shot at winning. But meanwhile, battle for the race lead. Torres to the outside as they go into the bus stop. Poulter holds on strong to the inside lane, is able to maintain position as they come out of the bus stop through the carousel once again, but that was probably the closest shot that Torres has made from making a pass for the race lead. Out of the carousel, through into the transitioning into the boot. They will dive into the corner. Here we go, Torres trying to see if he can get a good run off. Poulter gets a little loose. This could be the opportunity for Torres to take the lead, but can't quite make it work. Up into the toe of the boot they will go, climbing up this hill. Off camber, he looks to the inside, couldn't get to the door as Poulter shuts the door on him. As they now go through the straightaway, which I think they should call the sole of the boot, because this is the bottom part of the feet, as they go down this straightaway here before they get to the heel of the boot. Will Torres try to dive it in there once again? He will not this time. Trying actually outside. He gets right up on the back bumper, over the curbing, and still cannot make a pass. Now he'll try the inside line as they climb up the hill into the transition onto the main course, but Poulter still holds strong over that as Dave Hines now closes in on this battle.
Now, one thing we missed while we were watching, I believe it was Matt Kalish and Christopher Hill battling back there. Rafael Torres on the uphill S's on the last lap was right up against his bumper. You could probably put a pin between Rafael Torres and Kurt Poulter, and that was about as much space as you got. He was right up close, trying to get as much speed as possible off for that straight, which was what led to him being able to challenge. We're probably going to see this exact same move here as he goes to the outside and now into the inside on the uphill chicane. Thinks better of it, lets off just a little bit, but he's going to be able to try and get that slipstream, as now we see Dave Hines looking for a challenge on the outside heading into the bus stop.
He will challenge and he will try to make the attempt as he works through there, through the S's. Now Torres tries to cross over, can't quite make it work. Dave Hines now will move into second place, and Kurt Poulter's like, thank you very much. I will now leave you guys to do it, to battle for second place as they come out of the bus stop chicane. And with that, Strix, while they have a little bit of a few moments, let's take a look at that pass for the second place position, brought to you, of course, by Bibber World while they have a few moments. As we watch this replay here momentarily. There you see the pass. Dave Hines gets a great run out of the S's. He'll go side by side with Rafael Torres Jr. and then just easily overtake with the slipstream that he was able to get. Go through the S's, and then Torres just tries to make it work but can't get back to the inside. Dave Hines pulls away to second position. As we go bring you back live, Torres was once again able to get around Dave Hines for that second position. So the battle is not over just yet. And with 2.5 minutes left to go on the clock, not a lot of time left for Dave Hines to see if he can get into the second step of the podium.
I gotta say, I find it so funny that we went back to the replay of Dave Hines getting the pass on Rafael Torres, and by the time we get back, Rafael Torres found a way back through Dave Hines. It is a fantastic amount of work ethic from Rafael Torres being able to make that pass in such short notice. Maybe a couple mistakes leading up to that pass there, as you saw him let off, just getting a little bit too close to Kurt Poulter on the uphill chicanes. But of course, here they are again, going up the uphill chicanes. Kurt Poulter with a decent lead outside of the slipstream from the cars behind him, so he's going to have a bit of an advantage unless the cars behind him work together to try and speed themselves up and catch right back up. That means they're going to have to work together, though, and with time ticking down halfway through this race, we're going to have to see whether that actually pans out.
This is the closest battle out on the race circuit right now between Rafael Torres and Dave Hines. Everybody else is separated from over a second or more right now. But right now, as we keep an eye on this battle for second, Dave Hines trying to find a way once again around the 777 of Rafael Torres Jr. as they climb up the hill through the heel of the toe of the boot. Once again, Kurt Poulter is about 1.2 seconds ahead and is enjoying these two battling it out to the bitter end, because that means he can pull away ever so more as he is now trying to extend his lead and sweep the night here at Watkins Glen International. Into the heel of the boot they will go. Torres holding a defensive line to keep Dave Hines behind him. Gets a little loose off corner exit, which allowed Dave Hines to gain a little bit more ground on the 777 of Torres as they climb up the hill once again through the transition of turn number 9 and make the run over to turn 10.
Now, it should be pointed out, as you mentioned, that sweep of the night, Kurt Poulter could be challenging Christopher Hill, because Christopher Hill was the one who made a sweep, I believe it was last week, winning both races. But this time it might be Kurt Poulter's turn if he's able to stay consistent, stay off the wall, and keep his car clean while Rafael Torres and Dave Hines continue to battle behind him.
Down into turn number 1 for what's going to be the final time here tonight at Watkins Glen International. Kurt Poulter has a 1.5 second lead over Rafael Torres and Dave Hines. Rest of the field is separating themselves quite fairly. Chris Hill, Matt Kalish. That could be a close battle to keep an eye on a little later, but right now this battle for second is the one to watch. Hines to the outside of Torres, down the back straightaway they'll go. Kurt Poulter watches on ahead of them as they go into the bus stop for the final time. Torres late into the braking, trying to carry as much speed to get him through the bus stop chicane, while Hines backs off and tries to get better exit speed off through the carousel.
Rafael Torres trying to do as much as he can to try and keep Dave Hines behind him as they come down into the toe of the boot, right? Am I right?
You're coming up. You got it right. It is.
Hey, there we go.
You got it going on for you tonight. North versus south.
Absolutely. Now, Rafael Torres coming up through, is that the heel?
That is the toe of the boot right now. They are
toe. Oh, there it is. The toe. There's the toe. Okay, I got it now. Okay, I got it. I'll remember this. I'll remember.
You got it. Of course. But as we now keep an eye, Kurt Poulter from the Midwest, the Buckeye chapter, through the heel of the boot for the final time. Coming up to turn number 9 as the battle for second starting to stretch out just a little bit. Of course, Rafael Torres from the Peach State chapter, and of course, Dave Hines from the Allegheny chapter, trying to hold on and see if he can get into second place, but it's not going to work out for him. Kurt Poulter through turn 10 and turn 11 for the final time. And Buckeyes are going to be happy tonight and celebrating here in upstate New York. Out of the final corner, Kurt Poulter will sweep the night here at Watkins Glen International and win the round 3 of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series. As the rest of the field works their way through the start-finish line, we'll see if there's any major battles for position. So far, looking at it right now, no, everybody's pretty much spaced out fairly evenly. As we wait for the last few cars to come across the line, we will then give you your full field rundown, of course, brought to you than none other than TireRack.com, who has been a wonderful partner throughout the entirety of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series for 2020.
Now, this was a absolutely fantastic race to watch. Absolutely, as some would say, scintillating. We saw a fantastic battle for second position between Rafael Torres and Dave Hines. Kurt Poulter able to pull away as the two of them fought for second position. Christopher Hill finishing in fourth, which is I'm pretty sure it's his lowest finishing result out of the entire series, but it's not even that disappointing because it's still the top 5 position. Even when Christopher Hill isn't exactly up at the top, he's still near the top. That is a fantastic showing from him, despite the fact that it's his worst showing. It's really good to see that. And then, of course, running on your top 5 would be Matt Kalish. He had a fantastic race as well, I think he was involved a little bit in that first incident on turn 1, but was able to get through it all right.
And with that, we'll go ahead and give you your full field rundown, of course, none other than brought to you by TireRack.com. Your race winner, of course, sweeping the night at Watkins Glen, Kurt Poulter from the Buckeye chapter. Second place goes to the 777 of Rafael Torres Jr. from the Peach State chapter, and Dave Hines from the Allegheny chapter will come home in third. Christopher Hill from the San Diego chapter will come home fourth. And then, of course, a great run for the hometown hero, Matt Kalish from the New York chapter. He'll come home in fifth. Adam Pohl from the Trillium chapter will come home in sixth, followed by Robert Gagliardo from the Blue Ridge chapter in seventh. Eighth position goes to the Boston chapter of Chris Braun, followed by Tar Heel chapter driver Enrique Williams in ninth. Peter Eastman from the New Jersey chapter will come home in 10th.
And then getting through to your top 20, we have in 11th position, Ismael Sierra from the New York chapter in the 19 car. In the 77 behind him, in 12th position, Brooks Ezel from the Tar Heel chapter. Tyler Perry was right behind him in 13th position from the Roadrunner chapter. Paul Wigboldy. It's always a hard name to pronounce, to be honest, or hard name to read, rather. The Los Angeles chapter driver there in 14th position. Steve Liadis in 16th position, and I think that's a scoring error. No, it's they're 2 laps down. Okay, I see. Dylan McKenzie also finishing in 16th. I believe that might be actually a scoring error or something like that. Dylan McKenzie in 16th. 17th, Cameron Evans from the Tejas chapter. Evan Levine in 18th position from the Tar Heel chapter, finishing 5 laps down. 19th position, Rafael Espinal, finishing in 19th position, 10 laps down. And then Peter Lanick finishing 20th in the 294 car from the National Capital chapter.
Another National Capital driver, Colin Kortnick, will finish in 21st, and Charlie Copper from the Buckeye chapter also did not start tonight's race. He'll finish in 22nd. And with that, we'll bring in Mr. Kurt Poulter once again back up into the booth. Kurt, welcome back. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, at least 25 minutes or so.
At least 25 minutes. So you sweep the night here as we bring this season to the close. How is your thoughts of the entirety of the season of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing series?
I'm thankful to be part of it, honestly. When we got the message that they were looking to do this, I wanted to jump on board and help get this, season put together. And absolutely, it's been a blast. I've met a lot of great guys that I wouldn't otherwise have met. Those have turned into friendships, just being able to hang out almost nightly on the sim. So, that's been really cool, doing that. But, a lot of great racers and great competition, and just really looking forward to next season already.
All right. Well, quickly before we let you go and celebrate this victory here, you and Rafael Torres had a great battle towards the beginning of this race. Were you any bit of concerned of that, with Torres possibly taking the lead over ahead of you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made the car as wide as I could, going up the S's and into the bus stop. That's definitely the area where, having the draft, he could have taken advantage of that and stuffed it down the inside and taken the lead. So anytime he was close enough to do that, I tried to make sure I had the inside line and covered that off. But yes, I was very nervous when he was that close. We had a couple 0X's from a little bump drafting going up the back stretch there.
Well, what are you going to be doing during the off season here as we get ready for 2021?
We're actually going to put on a race school, basically mirroring what we do in the BMW Car Club of America. We'll have an online race school with in classroom sessions that we'll probably do over Zoom, and then we'll run multiple race sessions, with 12 to 15 cars probably, and then go through every single on-track exercise that you do in race school. We'll do that in sim to help everybody just get more knowledge and just get more consistent, quicker, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. Well, Kurt, for the final time this season for you, who would you like to say thank you to?
My wife and kids, they put up with me doing this on a regular basis, so I greatly appreciate that. Again, Evolve Range Solutions, Vandalia Range and Armory, Heel and Toe Apparel, Obsessed Garage, Turn-In Concepts, OhioForeclosures.com, and Redenso Radar Detector.
And of course, this is Kurt Poulter from the Buckeye chapter, your feature winner and race 2 winner here tonight as he sweeps the night at Watkins Glen International. And of course, Poulter Strix will be now sitting in with, of course, our second place driver as he is coming up into the booth, Rafael Torres Jr.
Rafael, that was a fantastic race there in the feature. You were right there in the picture, battling it out for the top spot. But as you started battling with Dave Hines there, you probably noticed that you were getting a little bit far behind from Kurt Poulter. And I noticed at one point in the race, in the feature race, you actually bump drafted him up the uphill chicanes, did you?
Yep. Well, we're going to uphill S's, and I was like, hey, if you're trying to slow me down to allow, Dave to catch up with me, I just started bumping, Kurt, because I have a few X's left in my pocket that I could use for that.
That's a fair strategy to make, as long as nobody gets hurt, nobody gets wrecked. That's a fantastic strategy to make. But of course, making that move did end up actually bringing you under attack from Dave Hines. He was able to get the pass on you, and while we were in the instant replay, just a few corners later when we came back, you were just right back up in second place. What happened there?
Well, kudos to Dave. He put a hell of a pass into the bus stop. So he earned that pass. But then from previous practice runs, I knew his weakness, and I just capitalized on that, and I sent it deep, and I was able to make it stick. The on-camber helped the car stick on the inside. So, I kind of, if he didn't see it coming, because I did that pass before on him a few nights ago.
Okay, I see. So you kind of understood how he would be reacting in that situation. That's a really good plan. You seem like you have the head on your shoulders. Just before I let you go, are there any people you want to shout out, or anybody you want to give thanks to just before we let you go?
Yeah, like I said before, big thanks to Sim Experience for the direct drive wheel. Also, the BMW driving school here in the East Coast. Come visit us if you want to just actually drive the M4 GT4 for real. We can make that happen. We've got a fleet of M4 GT4s at the West Coast location. Also, big thanks to Beamer World. They always take care of me on my personal car parts and my friends' car parts, and ultimately, their outstanding customer, behavior and relationships. It's amazing. You want to deal with Beamer World.
All right, thank you very much, Rafael Torres Jr. I really appreciate you popping into the interview booth. Congratulations on your P2 finish in the feature race, and hope to see you again in 2021 racing just as hard as you were tonight.
Hope to be here. See you guys later.
All right, and with that was Rafael Torres Jr. As we head on to our third place finisher, here with Taylor Burris, Dave Hines.
Dave Hines joining us up in the booth here tonight, and after a exciting battle with Rafael Torres Jr. towards the end of the race, Dave, you come home P3. Tell us how your race was for you tonight.
Well, it was certainly a fun one. Over in the McVie Auto Sport car, we had an awesome view of the battle between Rafael and Kurt. I honestly wouldn't have wanted to have been Kurt that whole race, but towards the end I was able to take a little bit of pressure off of Kurt and kind of bring the fight to Rafael. Felt pretty good. It was some awesome racing out there. I'm sure you guys saw it was some true car width plus an inch kind of stuff. So overall, a very satisfying third place. I feel like it was well earned.
Well, what was your overall thoughts about the BMW Car Club of America iRacing series this season? Even though it was a short one, only a few races, but overall exciting battles and your thoughts of it.
Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. I'm really grateful to the organizers of the series. They've done an awesome job, especially working through some of the teething pains. For me as a driver, it's really brought my driving up to the next level, because you get to race against guys like Kurt and Rafael and all the other guys that are so fast. Every week you look at the times that we're doing, and we're kind of approaching the world record pace. So it's pretty amazing stuff to be stuck in the middle of.
And of course, before we let you go and enjoy this third place podium and enjoy a little bit of downtime, who would you like to say thank you to?
Well, I'd always like to say thank you to the main sponsor on the car, McBee Autosport. They've been a real help to me in my racing career here in the esports arena and in real life. And I'd like to say hi to my family who's out watching tonight. I appreciate your guys' support as well. And again, a big thank you to the organizers of the series. It's been awesome.
Of course, that is Dave Hines from the Allegheny chapter here, finishing in third place. And while he steps down and goes and celebrates his third place finish, we're going to bring up the director of the BMW Car Club of America Club, our iRacing series, Matthew Cogan. Matthew, welcome up to the booth.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, Matt, we've had a short season, but still an exciting season of BMW racing here for the BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series. What is your thoughts of this 2020 season?
Man, you know what? So I've been driving in most of the races, but I was out of town this week, so I wasn't able to drive tonight. But I was able to watch the whole thing, and what an exciting race we had tonight! It was phenomenal. Our team put this together. Our thought was to have these spec cars with these M4s because they most resembled maybe what a club race car could be, and keeping that spec setup. We expected to have some close racing, but I don't think any of us thought it was going to be like it is now, and it's just phenomenal racing that we're seeing here.
It certainly has. Myself and my co-host Strix have been enjoying every single race that we got the chance to call. And now that we are at the end of the season, what are your plans for the BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series for the off-season?
Yeah, so we are looking forward to an off-season where we're going to have some formalized practice events, and we want to get some more people involved as drivers. And we're going to have some formal practices to help people get up to speed. We are even planning to do what they do in the real world race school, where we're going to have about an hour's worth of classroom talking about club racing tactics and thinking about how you're racing. And then we're going to go through and do some on-track exercises like you would see in a real club race school, where we're going to be doing, driving around door handle to door handle, 3 cars wide on here, get people comfortable with the size of the car, the width of the tracks, all that kind of stuff. So we're looking to do that, as well as, like I said, just some good formal open practices where we can help educate people to bring people up to speed for next year.
Of course. And do we maybe have a little bit of a preview of what to expect for 2021?
Yeah, so coming up in 2021, what we are planning is we're looking at 3 race series. Each of those series, we are planning to do 8 events in each of those series. And right now, we're definitely going to start the year off with the same format that we had the end of this year. With these 2 races. If we get more drivers, what we're going to do is we're going to actually break this up into heat races. So we'll have that solo qualifying, which will put drivers into individual heat races. And then the top drivers from those heat races will advance to one final race, and then the other drivers will advance to a consolation race. So, to better separate, those top drivers from the next level, not so much to keep to separate them much, but really to keep the racing as tight as possible throughout the entire field. And that's our goal, is really to do that racing. The other 2 series and that first series, what we're looking to do is we're looking to start mid to late January, get that during the winter time for all the guys that are up in the snowbound regions. And after that, we'll probably do something midsummer, and then the last season will probably run at exactly the same time frame a year as we did for this season as well.
Of course. And before we close this night out, who would you like to thank for their support of the BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series?
Man, so we got a lot of really great sponsors. These are all our longtime sponsors that have been sponsoring club racing in general for a number of years. We've got TireRack.com, we've got Sunoco Race Fuels, Bimmer World, FCP Euro, VAC Motorsports, Grassroots Motorsports, Locked in Affinity, HMS Motorsports, Redline, MCS Motion Control, PFC Brakes, Optimum Batteries, and Off-Camber Autosports. All are great sponsors to the club. And this year we went on and basically added them as sponsors for the iRacing series to kind of make up for the fact that we didn't have a lot of real racing this year. So this year we did it as a value add for those sponsors in the 2020 season.
Of course, and if any potential sponsors want to get involved with the BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series for 2021, how should they contact you?
Yeah, so definitely, this is a great endeavor that we're doing, and it does require sponsors to make this happen. There are certainly costs involved in running this program. So we are looking for sponsors for 2020, and anybody that's interested, the best way is to probably just contact me directly, and that's going to be at koganmb@gmail.com, and that is KOGANMB@gmail.com.
Of course. Well, Matthew, thank you once again for coming up in the booth to talk a little bit about your thoughts of the 2020 season and what's to come in the future. And of course, myself, Ryan Power, our producer, and my colleague, Strick Pulsatrick, cannot thank you enough for giving the opportunity for us to come and provide this wonderful entertainment to the masses here of all people who love all things BMW.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been great coverage, and we look forward to more of it in 2021.
Of course, and for those of you who are watching and listening here to tonight's coverage, if you want more information on the BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series, please visit BMWCCAClubRacing.com/iRacing. And with that, we are coming to a close. And Strix, can we get any final thoughts tonight of your thoughts of this entire 2020 season?
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I've been sitting here thinking about what I want to say. There is a lot that I really want to say, but I'm gonna try and keep it short here. This has been a fantastic experience, not only as a commentator, but as a spectator as well. Just watching these races, watching how close they were. As Matthew Kogan mentioned, he really wants this racing to be as close as possible, and that is exactly what he's achieved here with this series. And I could not be happier, could not be prouder to be a part of this series. It was just a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to call the action, and I cannot wait for the 2021 season. I really hope I'm back for this one because this was incredibly exciting.
It certainly was. And of course, just like the BMW Car Club of America Club Series, we hope to see 25 years also of BMW Car Club of America Club iRacing Series as well. But with that, it is time to come to a close. And with that, we have to once again say thank you to the following partners of the BMW Car Club of America iRacing Series, which of course is brought to you by TireRack.com. Over 2.7 million square feet of distribution center space, 27 major tire brands, and 60 wheel brands. Most available to deliver by next business day, competitive pricing, industry trusted reviews, and extensive customer service support. TireRack.com, America's leading performance tire and wheel source. Also brought to you by Bimmer World, FCP Euro, Grassroots Motorsports, HMS Motorsports, Motion Control Suspension, Off-Camber Autosports, PFC Brakes, Redline Synthetic Oil, Sunoco, and finally, VAC Motorsports. And of course, there's several other sponsors who we forgot to mention as well: Optima Batteries, Toyo Tires, and Hoosier Tires. But for that, it is time that we come to a close here tonight. But don't worry, we'll be back in the future to bring you more exciting coverage. For James Pike, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scarmuzza, and John Theodore at Podium Esports, for my partner in the booth, Strict Pulsatrix, and our producer, Ryan Bauer, I'm Taylor Burris of Podium Esports. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast, and good night.
An animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd, so turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.